let's end it right there. Hello, and welcome to another edition of the Big 12 Mafia Show on the College Football Mafia Network. I'm your host, Nathan Bomber Brown, and with me are my partners, and I think at this point we can call them blood brothers, as we look at all things, not only realignment, but all the news across college football. We appreciate everybody being here tonight. I have the Wild Ute, Moen, and Rock and Rant. How we doing tonight, guys?
Excellent.
Very good.
Thumbs up.
You look tired, Rock.
Oh, I'm totally not. I'm good.
All right, good.
I'm chill.
Good. Well, you do live in California. We know what that means. So.
Depends upon the moment, right?
Yeah, I'm sure that's true. Appreciate everybody being here tonight. We're expecting to be a pretty fun show. We're going to follow the stories as you guys want us to take them and answer them and lead them. We're going to start off with some things, and then we'll see where it goes. We'll eventually get to Q&A, and that'll really be dictated by you guys. So I'm going to ask everybody, if you're watching right now, follow us on Twitter, subscribe on YouTube, turn on your notifications on both YouTube and Twitter so you know we're on the air, and then consider becoming a member of the Mafia family. Moen, how do they go about doing that?
You can, if you're watching on a desktop, go down to where it says join, right next to the subscribe button, or you can go to the little cash icon in the window and become a member through there. Through that little window, you can also leave a super chat, super sticker, or gift a membership.
Yeah, that gifting membership thing is big for us guys, because if you receive a membership, consider, gifting one to somebody else. It's something that helps us keep the story growing and gets more people in as we're talking about things that we're doing in the news today. Really quick, but you want to do a preview on our next, I don't know what you'd call it, our next Wild Ute University special. You want to do that?
So the members have voted, and the voting stopped about 2 days ago. It's very close. And we've got a new short video that's going to be recorded, coming out soon. The analysis is done. I can't tease too much, y'all. I know, it just looks good, though, right? Like this KU and the SEC logo. I don't – it seems to be a good little fit there. But, just wanted to show that this analysis is done based on your requests. We're not predicting KU going to the SEC in the future anytime soon. It was analysis that you all wanted to see, and so that's why this was prepped. But nevertheless, here we'll just go through one or two of these slides because these ones look a little bit different. These new Wild Ute University analysis presentations here. So we're going to move on to the next here. We've got a different methodology. This is going to be based on the SEC model. And there's 8 different points that we'll get into in a short video about this for KU, but man, this is going to be a fun one to look at because we're going to really truly look at the downsides and the upsides of KU. What's the strong points? What's the low points of their potential candidacy in the SEC if they happen to get in? So it's not going to just be, we're going to look at every part of the model. It's going to be, these are the strong points. These are the weak points. Can they mitigate the weak points? And the conclusion. So super excited to record this short video. It's going to be a good one. Y'all will love it. So the teaser is over, though.
All right. That's by you guys' request. If you can continue to come up with story ideas, leave comments in the comment section. Also consider, DMing us on Twitter. That's another way to reach us, which is why we show all our contact information and our names. And last but not least, there's a library that we have of these type videos. And I'm not even going to go deep into any of them. I'm just going to read a few of them. Wild Ute University breaking down the big viewership share. Moen Rants, Notre Dame drives the bus. Wild Ute University, Miami to the Big 12 live. That was a members only show. Moen, what's our members only show tomorrow night?
The sit down. We're going to discuss Big Ten football. We're going to do a Big Ten football preview tomorrow night. There it is. The really Big Ten.
Yeah, we invite everybody to join that. If you're a new member, you've been a member for a while, feel free to pop in there. As long as you're an active member, you get access, and it should be fun. It'll be a live show, and we'll talk about some things maybe we wouldn't put in a normal show. So really looking forward to that. There's a couple in here. We talked about UConn and Syracuse, Virginia Tech, and do they fit, do they not in the Big 12? And then we have some Coos Corner videos. So really, really fun stuff, everybody. We want to invite everybody to become members all the time so that you can actually join in and watch those videos. They're a lot of fun. All right, let's get to some business here. First off, what's this, Mullen?
Ricky Tungate has gifted a college football membership, and that membership went to Gene Watson. Gene Watson, if you're in the chat, make sure you thank Ricky for that membership. Ricky, we thank you for that membership. And as soon as I pull my soundboard up here, I'll give you a soundboard.
Okay. You want me to wait a second?
I'll give you a sound.
Oh, there we go. All right, there we go. I appreciate that. All new members get claps. Thank you so much, Ricky, for pushing that and giving somebody else a membership. We also have a couple super chats to start off with. That's Marcus Williams, $2 super chat. Just happens to be a member of the Mafia. I don't believe most of what's being said today, to be honest. All right, we'll explore that a little bit later. Certainly, it's up for debate. Trent Brown. My brother's alias, $4.99. The super chat says, stoked for the show. Go Cougs. Yes, go Cougs. And I guess Utes, just because Wild Ute is a great dude and fan of the Big 12. What do you say to that, Ute?
I say, hey, brother, man, thank you very much. That really is your bro right there, Trent?
Yeah, my brother's name is Trent. It's not my brother.
Okay. I say, hey, kudos and stuff. Excited to be in the Big 12. Love all the banter and everything. So it's going to be a great football season. So go Big 12.
So really quick before I get on to anything else, I drug you into this kicking and screaming last year. You know, you had a different paradigm at the beginning. Now you've been a year in the Big 12, at least, you know, virtual Big 12. Have you seen the change, not only to Ute Nation, but all over the Big 12 itself?
I think Ute Nation is largely the same. Utes have always been pretty passionate, crazy, especially on social media. But that combined with Big 12 is like a keg of nails. Like it's a bomb right there, right? Like, and what's been fun is like focusing the attention now instead of fighting the Big 12, like last year. Now joining forces and going full force against the ACC, it's been pretty fun, to be honest with you.
It's good to be on the other side of it, right?
Absolutely.
Now, what you should have planned for was a slow motion, you know, one of those time stop things of Ute over the last 12 months. And just see you return from a devil to an angel.
Well, we have the video. Wings. We have the video. We would just need somebody to clip out the pictures. That's pretty funny. I'm going to ask now a loaded question to Rock and Rant because he's a University of Miami fan. How does it feel to be on the other side of what we will call this Big 12 influencer army?
I mean, I feel like it's pretty chill for me because there's not a whole lot of vitriol coming away. Miami's not the subject of most of the things, you know. So, you know, any of the things I ever say about the Big 12 side are really very specific to how I think it impacts Miami in any of how the dominoes fall. But clearly, you know, the conference has all of the good parts of people being into the SEC without any of the cheesiness of chanting SEC all the time.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Sure. Yeah, I think so. And Moen, again, as an Ohio State fan, you probably don't have an opinion on that, right?
The Big 12?
No, just anything about the changes that we've seen in the last year.
Well, yeah, I don't want Oregon in my conference, but I guess
that ship is sailed, brother. There's nothing you can do about that. All right, let's get on. Let's do some shout-outs before we actually get into anything else. Laura Weiss, first in the house. See you all tonight. Good to see you, Laura. Thank you very much. Nathan Campbell, good to see you, Nathan. Sorry I caught you at the end of the show earlier last night. It caught you at the end. We'll try to get back to you again tonight. Timothy Green. All these are members, by the way. I cannot wait until we really find out what's going to happen with Clemson and Florida State. This is the Big 12 Mafia Show. Thank you very much. I love that. Doesn't that warm your heart? Gosh, that makes
this is the Big 12 Mafia Show.
Buckshot Kid says, "Oh hey, at the College Football Mafia. Thank you for being here." Friends call me Sean. Best line in the McMurphy article. That could change if the ACC no longer exists. Why would this change the Big or SEC position for SMU? What do you guys think?
FSU.
Oh, what did I say? I'm sorry.
You said SMU.
Okay, yeah, FSU.
SMU's living rent-free in your head, man.
I haven't thought about them all day, but thanks for saying that. Anyway, I'll get to them eventually. Anyway, FSU. Answer the question or the comment.
Yeah, go ahead, Rock.
I think that if if you take, and again, for everyone, we're going to talk about this article and make the assumption, or for the point of the conversation, let's assume some parts of it are true for that point. But I don't know that we're all assuming the outcomes that are in there are what's going to ultimately play out. It's just for the discussion of it. But if you take the article at its face value, and if it turned out to be true, then I think that point makes 100% sense. Like, if they're as adamant as it's articulating, then that A wouldn't beget B. So that makes sense to what friends Call Me Sean is talking about.
All right. Mo, you want to add anything to that?
Go ahead, you.
Yeah, it's a big line right there. Why the ACC, when the ACC actually ruptures rather than just the speculation of it, that's a completely game changer, right? Like, I mean, I know for a fact that the Big Ten likes to, button everything up and and really cover all their bases and stuff. So they ain't going to say anything. They're not going to give any hints, nothing for the SEC or the Big Ten until they're out of the conference. And I wouldn't be surprised at all if the narrative completely changed if they get out of the conference. So I'm with, friends call me Sean here. I'm with Sean on this sentiment and stuff that things could change quick once they actually exit the conference, because it's a new world out there. And at the end of the day, are the Big Ten and the SEC going to pass up the brands of Florida State and Clemson if they're there right there with no financial implications, no exit fees and stuff? They're already out. They're untethered and stuff. You're going to skip on those? So I'd like to see it.
Yeah, it's not likely. It's my percentages are still against it. Moen, anything you want to add?
Yeah, the reason it would change is because the leverage would all be on the side of the conferences at that point.
Right, you're right.
And they could basically tell them you're taking a half share, or you're not taking,
or you're taking 15 cents, or you're taking,
or you're not coming on board. So.
Right. Antoine Codes, another member, says, I have been thinking about what Greg has been saying on his show about relationships and how they matter. Doesn't Brett Yormark have a background on the money side of business? Yes, he does. He's a rock star. When you guys want to describe what he does, or you want me to do it?
Go ahead. Yeah, sum it up.
So he brought NASCAR into the modern age around 2000. He was there 8 or 9 years. Then he went to the Brooklyn Nets and started helping the Brooklyn Nets and got them through the move to Brooklyn. Anybody who's done any business in New York has to know how difficult that is. He's done a couple other things, but he is a rock star in negotiations. You might not like him for college sports. You might not like him because he's brash. But as an advocate for the Big 12, with his business acumen, I don't think you could find somebody better. You guys want to add anything to that?
That summed it up well.
Okay, let's get to a few. We got 2 more gift memberships. Moen, what's going on here?
Adam Antiveros has gifted 2 memberships to the College Football Mafia family. Those memberships went to Shooter, Texas, and Noel Ramirez. Make sure you guys both thank Adam Antiveros in the chat. If you are here in the chat, and I will play him a winner sound effect.
Awesome. Thank you, Adam. That is really unselfish, and we really appreciate it. Again, if you've received those gifts, make sure you thank them in the comment section, and then consider paying it forward, giving gifts to somebody else. Really, really appreciate that, Adam. Let's see here. Got to get back to where I was. Antoine Codes was my last one. Let's go to Ryan Willie in the house. Everything is a non-story until something happens. Facts. That's exactly right. Stormy Cyclone says, hello, College Football Mafia. To much smoke in media with Shear, Dellinger, Kurtz, McMurphy to tell me something's up.
Mm-hmm.
Josh paid as well.
Yeah. What do you want to say to that?
If anybody watched this was Pate's story. This was the big story that Pate wanted to tell.
Yeah, he teased it several weeks ago. Yeah.
And so the Tyrannosaurus Rex was Brett Yormark?
Yeah, I guess. That's what I would say. Yeah. Let's see here. Rock Chalk 94 says, hey, guys. Good to see you, Rock Chalk.
What's up, Sawyer?
Trent Brown. Caleb Ramirez. Hi, everyone. Let's go. I traded some messages with Caleb today. That was fun. Trent Brown says, weeding while listening. There you go. That's a good use of your time. I love it.
What type of weeding? That's what I want to know.
Yeah. Tracy FSU, good evening. Go Noles. Yep, I'm in Florida State's corner until something changes. Lee says, hello, guys. Good to have you, Lee. Based Jiren, FSU to the MAC incoming. I don't know about that. That's pretty harsh. Almighty Finn, another member, says, "What up, Rock and Rant, and Omen, and Bomber, and the Milk Guy, sucking and sucking and sucking." Moen.
I am the milkman. My milk is delicious.
Becky Go Huskies, contributor and a member, says a lot of FSU fans are saying McMurphy's article is basically a negotiation tactic to give power to the P2 over FSU for negotiation purposes to keep them from a full share. I've been saying that since my new guess was out. I think it's 3 weeks now, and that's what I said what was happening. They were going to use the negotiations to beat Florida State and Clemson down to a half share. But that's just me. What do you guys think?
Well, I mean, Florida State and Clemson do have an issue with the SEC. There are strong opponents to both Florida State and Clemson in the SEC. And I can sort of give you a little nugget tonight that one of the loudest one of those is probably Georgia.
Go ahead. If you're doing it,
that's it time. Right there. Georgia is opposed to Florida State and Clemson entering the SEC.
Wow.
Yeah.
Can't get much more powerful than that.
Well, yeah, you own the market already. You own Atlanta.
I agree.
What does
I don't
Clemson
disagree.
get you? This goes back to conversation we had a month ago. I mean, like, really, SEC, like, it's redundancy, guys. Like, it really is. Like, what does it really get you? It was always going to be the Big Ten, in my mind's eye, for Florida State and Clemson. Like, the SEC already occupies those markets.
I think part of the thought process, and then Rock, I'll let you go. Part of the thought process was ESPN sees it's losing their legal arguments and decides they just want to take and pick the best 4 brands out of the ACC and put them in the SEC, regardless of all the rules and regulations with that. It's ESPN to ESPN. And I saw that was a reasonable argument. You could say your 4 best brands. We know what those are. Put them in the SEC. Now the SEC is a super conference in really good standing. So I see where the logic was. But yeah. Anyway, Rock, what do you think about that?
I mean, for the most part, I've been pretty outspoken about believing that all of the stuff we hear is just optics and conversations out there to do the negotiations. Right. That said, I also think that a couple of those comments in there were extremely harsh for doing that perspective, right?
We're gonna go through that,
and that's the only thing that doesn't give me pause to change my take, because I do think people negotiate through the press and are trying to do that. But a couple of those comments, when it's over, we might come back to and go, all right, that wasn't just the normal negotiating through somebody. That was either the, hey kid, you better get your act together or you're going to jail, right? Or we're done with you, but it could just be the most harshest, part of it. Like the ACC said some of those things, I wouldn't think twice about it, right? Big Ten members who you're talking about who might want to bring you into their house, like it's a little bit like interesting, I guess.
You want to add anything to that before I move on?
No. I can move on.
Okay. Almighty Finn, what up, Moen? I misspelled your name. Nitwit in the house. Good to see you, Nitwit.
Boom,
what's going on at Penn State? Boom shakalaka boom. Clint Moses. Clickbait got me again, boys. It gets the best of us. Clint. Michael Smith, why do either of the P2 really need Clemson or FSU when they can just let them dangle and target their recruits with the big money? SEC ain't in Cali, but that doesn't stop Bama or Oklahoma from raiding. I don't think any of us think that either the Big Ten or the SEC need any ACC schools. It's obvious they don't need them.
No.
They might be targets of opportunity, though. Right? What do you guys think on that?
I don't think there's any ad other than Notre Dame that's going to boost a TV contract out there. Any TV contract. So what's the purpose of adding if it's not making more money for the members?
Yeah. Getting in the market. That's the only thing I can think of, and recruiting.
Yeah. For the SEC, you absolutely have 9 juggernaut freaking football teams. If you add 2 more juggernauts in Florida State and Clemson, I mean, like you guys like to say a lot, like someone's got to eat the losses. And it gets so difficult and everything, and just the road's already difficult enough. I just don't see the value add there. And plus the market redundancy. FSU and Clemson, if you look at the ratings, the TV rating numbers and everything, yes, I'm a data guy, dork, right? They're shaking out 7 and 8 in the SEC. Like, I mean, I get they're not playing like in the SEC time spots. They weren't on CBS and stuff, for those big SEC time spots, but they would be in the 7th and 8th position. Looking at normal, like just the SEC teams over the last 8 years. So you're looking at a above average viewership, but not like Bama level and not LSU level, right? So it's a tough sell, like financially and stuff. How do you make those dollars work for your media partner? I don't know. And that's what they're having trouble with.
Moen, Rock, do you guys want to add to that?
Yeah. They don't really need Clemson. Or if you're Big Ten, you need to get into those markets, but there's other members available for cheaper. So, I mean, if it's just about getting into a market, I understand the brand value that Florida State and Clemson provide, but if you can get it for a less expensive price point in someone like Miami and Georgia Tech, at 30%, why not do it?
Rock, you want to add anything?
Yeah, like I think I'm a little bit more pausing on the it's all about money conversations for the moment in these decisions.
Okay.
Right. Whether that plays out and ultimately it was like a great head fake, I'm buying more into there's more of a balanced flow to how some of these conferences are looking at it, how much they can then push or are willing to accept from their network partners as a result of a more multifaceted decision tree. That remains to be seen. But what they want and what they get could also be two different things.
I completely agree with all three of you. And a lot of that, what it means is there are a lot of different destinations we could be in for. There isn't anything written in stone right now. Carrie Go Knowles, good to see you, Carrie. $5 super chat, happens to be a member. Breaking news: FSU going independent. This is 100%. Lol.
Let him cook.
Yeah, let Carrie cook.
Let Carrie cook.
Go. I love it. That's fantastic. Oh my heck!
Let him cook.
Now let him cook.
Let him cook
do
now.
The more you know first.
Let him cook. I said, let him cook.
All right, let's get to. I got more shout outs I'm going to be doing later, but I'm going to right now just do a real quick shout out to Peek Around the Corner. And Greg's in the house. Greg, if you want to come on the show, send me a DM. Relationships, right?
Relationships. And I think, Greg, you're 100% right. Relationships for the Big Ten. I do not think the same exists for the Big 12. I think it's money, and like relationships are secondary. Utah didn't want to go to the Big 12. They got pulled into it. It boosted valuations. Florida State might do the same thing. So I think it's conference to conference for the Big Ten, no doubt about it. Relationships, and also the money's got to be there. If no one's making any money, then you don't add. You've said that many times before, but I totally agree with the Big Ten. But like the Big 12, I think it's about really data and money driven.
Everybody nodded their head. Rock, what do you think?
Well, yes, but they're sort of connected too, right? Like if relationships don't materialize for the other two conferences, that could be the thing that opens up massive money opportunities for Big 12, right? We're not really talking about the eighth school of the ACC, which could be just a pure, survival for them and
right.
Good matchup relationship for Big 12. The opportunity to really go crazy and bring a lot of value to Big 12 could theoretically be because of relationships or the lack thereof at other levels.
Moen?
Yeah, I just like what Carrie Go Knowles said. Instead of relationships, championships.
Let him cook.
$5 super chat for Carrie Go Knowles. Thank you very much, Carrie. I'm waiting for a sounder from Moen. All right. Hot. All right. Wow. We got going. There's no doubt about that. All right. Let's close out. We're about a half hour in. Let's close out the shout outs to everybody. Appreciate everybody being here early. 125 people watching us live. Let's try to get that number up. Appreciate everybody being here so we can talk about something very specific. We're not going to talk in generalities anymore. We actually have something to report on. And that is this Brett McMurphy article. If you missed it this morning, we are going to go through it again. If you're getting tired of realignment news, tell us you want us to do something else, and then get 100 other people to tell us you want us to do something else, because 75 or 80% of those people are going to want to complete realignment anyway. Title of the article, first of all, it's Brett McMurphy. Let me take the link so everybody can get to it. In case you're just getting home from work and didn't get a chance to read it, it's a fantastic article. I know it's taken a long time to write, well-researched and everything else. Big Ten SEC unlikely, so that's you can put quotes around that. Unlikely to add Florida State if it leaves the ACC, and ACC survives, sources told Action Network HQ. Big Ten and SEC don't want FSU, and then this is the thing we're going to talk about. Because adding FSU doesn't make financial sense, there's no desire to expand, and they've been a disruptive partner. Before I actually go to the article and start parsing that title, when I woke up this morning and read that, even though I was kind of anticipating, boy, the future could be going anytime, that was pretty brutal, I think. And those words, they bite, don't they?
Yeah, this thing doesn't make financial sense. 1, 2, no desire.
Oh, sorry. Wrong thing. My bad.
Yeah. Then number 3, a disruptive partner. That's like, that's the craziest one of all. The disruptive partner right there. Man. What do you guys think about disruptive partner?
That's the only one that would. That's the only one that would make me a little bit concerned if I was one of those schools. The other two is completely negotiation. The last one is like, all right, how far in the we're going to tell you we don't want you before we invite you to come live in our house, and we don't. That's the one that would make me be at least curious to whether that's negotiation in public or a true statement of fact.
Moen?
Disruptive partner is probably the hardest blow that they've been hit with. Yeah, they'd probably, you don't hear them saying this about Clemson because Clemson was at least more civil about it.
Yeah, that's true. Well, silent. They've pretty much just been in the background.
Right.
Yeah.
So I don't see Clemson being labeled a disruptive partner, even though they're suing the ACC.
Right. We'll get into the ESPN part of this in just a second. But
you want to know another disruptor?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yormark.
Okay.
Yormark is considered a disruptor, right?
Yeah.
Because he's fighting for change. He's rattling cages. He's poaching different conferences. Hey, seems like a pretty good marriage right there. Brett Yormark and FSU. Disruptors. Like, we'll take them. If that's not what the Big Ten and the SEC want. Although the SEC did get Texas, the biggest disruptor of all, which is the most ironic thing.
It is very well, and they also have Texas A&M.
Yeah.
Disruptor and crybaby are two different things, though, right?
Maybe.
Hey, Texas is a disruptor.
Carrie Go Knows $2 super chat says the ACC was the disruption cooked partner. I can't disagree with that.
A crooked partner.
All right, let's get into this. So here we go. Action Network. I already posted the link. You guys can chase that down. I already gave you the title. So we're just going to cruise through this. It won't take us very long to make it through the article. Just know that all four of us peek around the corner. John Kurtz, anybody else that's reported on this today, Brett McMurphy's top of the top. Okay. You can take issue with what he's saying, but the quality of the effort and the work that went into the article, it's well researched and it took a long time. This wasn't something he just threw together overnight. So keep that in your back of your mind as we're going through this. Florida State likely will not have a spot in the Big Ten. Sorry, I was going to highlight what I was going to read first. Here we go. Will not have a spot in the Big Ten or the SEC if it's successful in leaving the ACC and the ACC stays intact. When the Seminoles break free from the ACC, their top choices would be to join the Big Ten or SEC because of the huge difference in television media rights revenue. However, there are multiple concerns about adding Florida State. Those reasons include the fact that it doesn't make financial sense. There's no appetite for more expansion, and FSU has shown it's not a good partner. So here uses a different adverb, good partner. And we'll finish out this piece with Greg Sankey. SEC Commissioner Greg Sankey was asked in Monday's SEC Media Days This is a big one. Media days, how closely he was following the legal challenges by FSU and Clemson to exit the ACC. We're focused on our 16. That means the 16 teams they already have. I'm not going to guess about what happens next. We can certainly remain at 16 for a long, long time and be incredibly successful, which has been my contention from the very beginning. So, you guys, there's a lot of data there, right? It's not like he just made a statement and then put fluff around it. He's backing it up with quote after quote after quote. Is this really different than the Oregon-Washington situation?
Vastly.
Explain that, because we saw on Twitter a lot of people are conflating the two, and I wanted to get that question answered tonight so that we could walk away from any confusion.
Oregon and Washington were always a target after USC, UCLA.
Okay.
And they were still in the area where they could legally have first-party talks with the Big Ten. So they knew, everybody knew, was on the same page with what was going on. So right up to the last minute, they were negotiating Oregon and Washington with the Big Ten. Whereas Florida, depending on who you believe, they either have a grant of rights until 2027 or 2036. So, and they were never actually targets. Like the Big Ten never vetted and cleared them before engaging in talks with them. They did that for Oregon and Washington.
Okay. Where did I go? I hit the wrong button. Sorry, guys. That's better. What do you think, Rock?
Yeah, listen, also because sometimes reporters do get articles or news scoops wrong because they get different sources at different times. It doesn't mean that everything that they say later is incorrect or ill-intended, right? That they're coming out with an agenda versus they talk to 4 people, they ask a question, they get an answer. Whether those 4 people who could be very well connected have all of the connections to play and give you the ultimate answer of how it plays out, that's a completely separate thing. But I wouldn't just discard the information because you don't like it. And even if things changed way back when with Oregon and Washington and what some people said, some of those, hey, Washington and Oregon are not going to the Big Ten comments. There's like a whole paragraph after that added context to why not now, as opposed to a blanket statement, they're not happening. And people are selectively taking out quotes without the full picture.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I would just add on top that when McMurphy put this article together, he wasn't coming at it with really, he doesn't have an axe to grind. He's a national reporter, very well respected. And so the stuff he's putting in here is coming from the people. It's not like he's priming them or they have some agenda to beat down Florida State and Clemson. That seems pretty strong to me. You want to
I'll
add
jump in
anything
on this one? Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
This is different. This is not Oregon and Washington. Washington was about the best cultural fit that the Big Ten could ever want or need. I mean, they are a massive research, AAU. Everything about Washington screamed Big Ten. Oregon came along with it. They're AAU too. So that cultural fit aspect is huge. And then plus the chatter, behind all the chatter. I mean, Greg Flugar was all over that. And even Moen was talking about that. If you listen to Greg's show a couple years back, a year and a half, 2 years ago, the Big Ten circles were chatting hey, this isn't dead or anything like that. So what's different is the cultural fit aspect, because Florida State and Clemson just aren't quite the cultural fit that a Washington is, especially. And also the chatter. Listen to the chatter with people that are inside the Big Ten. What are they saying and everything? And they're saying, no, this is a clear no. So I think those two things are indication that it's a little bit different this time around.
Completely agree. All right, we move down here. This is where we talk about how much work went into this. Action Network contacted more than a dozen individuals, including university presidents, conference personnel, athletic directors, network executives, and consultants. None would be identified because of the sensitivity surrounding conference realignment. That happens with us as well. We have contacts. We cannot and we'll never tell people what they are. 3 SEC presidents, though, and this stands out, recently told Action Network that they had no interest in adding Florida State. It takes 12 of the 16 presidents to favor adding another school. He actually had presidents go on the record and say no.
Right.
I think that's remarkable.
And one of those presidents, Georgia is opposed. He could be one of those three presidents. They could not be. There could be more than three, but I know the University of Georgia is opposed to both Florida State and Clemson entering the Southeastern Conference.
Ute or Rock?
That's massive information. Georgia has so much influence in that conference, and Georgia is one of like the big three really in that conference with LSU and Bama. In my view, Georgia right now is so much thing influence. You don't want to rock the boat with them. If no one's saying it, like I would listen to that. Like seriously, take it seriously.
Yeah. So the guy who has been a reporter forever, whether you love him or not, who put all of those people on the records, we're going to dismiss. But a dude who sounds like Dianetics telling you something is definitely true. And that's just my note of caution, to my friends at the schools involved, specifically Florida State. I don't think it's going to play out in a negative way for Florida State when it's all said and done. But it's good to get out of your bubble sometimes. Good for me to get out of my bubble, whether it's sports, politics, whatever, and actually listen and hear what people are saying. It doesn't mean your future's been written, because tomorrow something new will happen and change. But I'll just couch it that way of, if you're not in the Florida State zone and you're, me as a conversation, or probably others, since it's not a Miami connection, we're just looking at information with a little bit, clearer path. And when I see like that kind of research and that backup, and then those quotes, it's definitely interesting. It doesn't mean it's forecasting for sure the final fate of anything.
Yeah, you're completely right. We got another super chat from Carrie, $10, saying if someone or a conference is stealing from you regularly, then being disruptive is the least we can do. At least we got the balls to say, hell no, we aren't going to take it anymore. Or
isn't it all about the narrative? Like you could say
I
from one
agree.
angle disruptive, and then from the Florida State angle, you can be like a thought leader.
Yeah, right. That's true.
A leader,
That's
right?
true.
Like it's really all about the narrative that you spin.
Yeah, they're neither of them are wrong, right?
Yeah, and there's another reason you guys got to keep in mind too.
They've been sucking you, and you're sick of it. I get it.
Yes, sir, Bob. Thank you so much, Carrie. We appreciate it. All right, moving on to these next lines. One source, however, cautioned, never say never about Florida State or Clemson. Let's see, about FSU going to the Big Ten, because there could be a path if the ACC disintegrates. The next one, there is no appetite among the presidents unless there is some catastrophic development with the ACC and it forces the Big Ten into a decision. The next one is, if the ACC blows up, who picks first between the Big Ten and the SEC? Who picks second? If there is a need or desire to expand, you take inventory so your competitors don't get it. But the presidents and chancellors are looking for stability, despite what the social media geniuses are suggesting. No one, the leagues, the networks, is driving expansion. That could change, again, if the ACC no longer exists.
You know who's driving expansion? Florida State and Clemson. Because they're rattling the cage. They're disrupting. They are driving expansion. Nobody else wants to have any expansion. Everybody wants to be cozy and comfy for the next 5-6 years. But Florida State's saying, no, I'm sick of being sucked. The same thing with Clemson. No more sucking, no more milk. And so, hey, if you want to look at it as being disruptive, like it's the smart move financially and stuff, they've got to get out of the conference. Like, give them a freaking break. They are thought leader. This is leadership.
Thought. Okay, Rock.
Well, that's one of those sentences that you just read about, there's no appetite. This is the one that's just negotiating in plain sight. Like, they're not going to make the first move. We're not tampering, right? They're not really hungry. However, if somebody comes home from the bakery with an awesome slice of their favorite cake, they're going to eat.
Yeah, I mean, it's an option until it's not, right? Moen, what do you think?
Free pizza doctrine. You're right. If somebody shows up at your house with free pizza, you eat that pizza.
All right, there you go. So all we need is Florida State and Clemson to make some pizza.
Yeah, bring Louisville, get Papa John's together,
there you go.
Whatever.
That works. Expedition Greg, we've got ourselves another gifted membership, Moen.
Yes, Expedition Greg gifted a membership to Nitwit, our Penn State homeboy.
Yeah, been
Thank
a minute.
you so much,
Nitwit.
Expedition Greg. showing true Buckeye generosity and gifting that to a Penn State Nittany Lion. So
Wow.
that is definitely.
That was legitness. Yeah, it was. Huh?
The Expedition Greg was sending me some good links today. I really appreciated his help on Twitter during the off time. By the way, if you receive a gift, you receive a gifted membership. Oh, wait, I got a membership. Consider giving one to somebody else. You got one for free. Maybe you could help out somebody else who might not be able to afford it this month. Really, really appreciate it. Thanks.
Well, not
again.
only that, we've got a freaking new model. I can't wait to show you guys. It's so good. This SEC model is, I think it's nails. I think it's absolutely nails. I'm so excited. I would love just to show it right now, but I can't.
You can't do it. No, not yet. All right, next. Let's see. That could change if the ACC no longer exists, and then this is where we get into some fun quotes. But if the price to get out of the ACC is too prohibitive that Florida State and Clemson are the only schools to exit, what happens? If the ACC doesn't implode, Florida State could be in a dangerous spot. Hello, San Diego State. I don't know if they have a home unless there's a doomsday scenario and the ACC implodes. FSU is in a bad spot. Again, hello, San Diego State. Another source stressed the Big Ten is happy where we're at. Okay. What's the upside, Florida State? Florida State, sorry, a source said. We got what we needed by adding USC, UCLA, Oregon, Washington, and Oregon, Washington were added at 50 cents on the dollar to help USC and UCLA. Who would Florida State help? Open question. And at what cost? And most importantly, who's going to pay for it? All these leagues have already existing media deals. It on Twitter, and I'm working on a story. I don't have all the information yet, but I've got information from somebody who is very, very smart, and they say that the media deals these leagues sign don't always leave room for a third party or for somebody else to be added to add a few games. If you want to generate more revenue, you either renegotiate the contract, you can add an addendum to extend based on what you're picking up, or you're stuck with what you got, and then you have to get creative with giving people more money that may want it just to be in your conference. What do you guys think about that?
Moan, what do you think about the solution of that? Like, how could you finance it?
Well, the only way you can finance it is get your TV partners to pay for it. That's it. And the only guaranteed school that has a guaranteed payment from the TV partners is Notre Dame. And that will cover them getting one partner in, just one, because because Oregon and Washington need to be made whole with part of that money.
Okay, Rock?
If somebody wants to pay for it, they'll do an addendum to the contract. It's not it's not that difficult.
Maybe.
Well, yeah, but the first caveat was if somebody was willing to pay for it, and I think somebody will probably be willing to pay for it. Like,
okay,
I'm not. There are certainly media professionals out there who I'm not disputing that, but it's always about, do you have a willing person willing to pay for something you're trying to sell? If you have it, then you'll figure out a new way to amend your agreement, right? That's just pretty much it. And if you don't, then somebody's screwed. And then all of we have an idea of what our valuation conversations that we heard about a year ago were like maybe true at the time, maybe smoking something, who knows? Right. And then you're like in a really bad spot, in which case then like the strategy around everything, someone's going to look really bad.
All right, let's get some money in here. Let's get some recognition for some people making donations. Oh. Nitwit, a member, newly minted remember.
Nitwit, this one's for you. We're going to play a little remix.
All right. Sucking you.
I'll have a drink for you.
Sucking you.
I love it. Anybody can join me in this.
Sucking you. You're sick of it. I get it. And they've been sucking you. And they've been sucking you.
Oh, my goodness. And Nitwit, thank you so much.
Donation, Nitwit. Much appreciated.
Yes, absolutely. Drinks for everybody in Big 12 Mafia. So let's get a Georgia Tech and a Syracuse in there for people that don't know the game. Georgia Tech Syracuse naturally is a drinking game. If you drink, do not drive. The second one, and another bang, bam,
Damn.
from Vox
$99
Pandaro.
rock chalk.
$100 raw chalk. You can hit like 6 of those if you want to, man.
Sounds similar to.
Oh.
Yes, it does. Can I
Thank
just
you,
tell
Vox.
Sorry, go ahead,
Thank you.
Mon.
Thank you,
Yeah, I just want
Vox.
to say thank you, Vox. Thank you, Nitwit. Much appreciated, guys. That's going to go a long way. We've made some upgrades to the channel recently. I got a new video converter. I'm going to be playing some EA college football here on the channel. Hopefully, with Nate and you borrows his brother's Xbox, we're going to play some games here, and we're going to see who's the best and who's the worst. But
I
I
am
mean,
definitely the worst.
I lost twice to Kansas today on varsity difficulty. So
Yeah, I'm not going to win a lot of games, but I will have fun. So there you go. I don't care.
Thank you, Nitwit and Vox. Much appreciated.
Absolutely. And that definitely goes a long way to help us keep things moving. We put a lot of time and energy in it. You guys doing that really warms my heart. We're over a year on this channel, and man, we have done so much. We got a lot more to do, though. A lot more we're covering. Can't wait. All right.
Hey, let's talk about valuations real quick. while
Yeah,
we're,
go
on
ahead.
this
You bet.
finance topic and
Yeah, go
everything. Bomber asked me to investigate a little bit how much Florida State and Clemson would bring the Big 12 or to another conference based on their viewership that they had in the ACC. So ballparking their valuation. I want to give a ballpark range for Florida State and Clemson valuation. Okay, it's going to be per year to a media partner. I'm estimating 75 to 85 million per year for both of them.
Wow, really?
That's what the numbers would snuff out. So how I came to that is I just looked at all the eyeballs that were on the ACC, all the viewership eyeballs over the last 8 years. Looked at the share that Florida State brought to the house, Clemson brought to the house, and I compared that and just multiplied it by the media contract, like the estimated media contract for the ACC. So that gets you to about 75 to 85 range, maybe a little bit more than 85 if you're lucky and liberal about it, but I would be conservative and say around 80,000 ballpark for both.
So if we do the math backwards, there's 16. There would be 18 schools in at the time. You divide that 80 by 18. Is that how you find out what the per team ad is? Is that right?
Yeah,
Did I do that right?
You can do. I did a little bit different manner and stuff, but that's kind of the thing.
Oh no! Tell me. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just asking.
Yeah. So really, you're just looking at what percentage of the eyeballs that Florida State had brought to the ACC. What percentage of that over the last 8 years?
Okay.
Then you multiply that percentage by the total media contract.
Okay.
It just tells you what's their share, how much they bring to the table, as far as like actual dollar value. 75 to 85 million.
Man,
and so we're
crazy.
That's a ballpark, guys. Like I can do a lot more deep analysis, but it's probably pretty spot on right there. I feel comfortable saying that ballpark. So thinking about that, like if the Big 12 got Florida State and Clemson, you'd need to probably come and pay that type of money to them.
Right. I agree.
And figure out how to get that type of money to them. And then looking at the Big 10 and the SEC, they're paying out roughly almost 90 million to the media, to the partners, to the existing members and everything. So you're kind of right there, maybe a little bit lower, but you're kind of on par. So you come into that conference, maybe you get a boost because you're playing bigger time opponents and everything. So it should wash. I mean, I don't think it's going to cost anybody if Florida State and Clemson the power to add those schools. I don't think it's going to cost them anything. So it's just going to be like a pro rata ad.
Okay. Rock, you started to say something.
Yeah, my only question there, and it's not that it's I'm saying I don't know if I agree with those numbers, but and we don't have all the information, but if you look at the rough estimates of what Notre Dame's supposed to be getting in their new deal, plus their non-football stuff from the ACC, which last time I remember someone giving was like an $18 million number. So if you theoretically took their NBC deal plus that would be their total number. That number is probably right alongside, depending upon whose estimate of the new deal you hear, right? Because it hasn't been published, those two numbers, which would seem to be off, right? Because if anybody could go on the open market and get that as a one-off, they would. So I wasn't sure whether you've also or have or could even take a look at, like, compared to what we think NBC is paying Notre Dame plus their ACC other revenue.
This is where it blows my mind. I love how you brought that up, the Notre Dame conundrum, because like look, I have not seen like the Big Ten media agreement that has this Notre Dame qualifier that if you add Notre Dame, it can finance multiple other schools. What that implies, though, based on the $90 million Big Ten payout, is that Notre Dame's worth more than $200 million a year, probably around $225 million a year in annual media rights to the Big Ten. That's what that implies. And so if you're looking at Florida State and Clemson around 80, then Notre Dame at 220, I don't get it either. That's why I'm like, Notre Dame's not worth as much as folks think.
Yeah, the rumblings are that they're getting 65 million or so from NBC per year. So if that's true, which I don't know to be true, but that's just the only articles I've seen. I don't know. That's always confused me relative to the Big Ten, even if you then doubled it, right? And said that all of their games were in the Big Ten, both sides.
Yeah, because Notre Dame gets around they get around like $3.2 million viewers per game. Florida State's in the mid to high 2 million, so it's not even that much different historically and stuff viewership wise. I don't get it, Rock. Maybe there's some type of synergy there, or anything like based on like traditional opponents and everything. Florida State. This comment by Edward though is, I think this is a nails right here. So Florida State, if they're worth $80 million in the ACC, the brand multiplier, because of the bigger opponents, you're playing the Bamas and stuff. What if you lift that up? Maybe you add 20-25% to that, and all of a sudden it gets you to around $100 million. And so it might be accretive. It might just be a wash again for it. But like the Notre Dame thing just doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't.
Moen, do you want to add anything to that? I want to get to this comment really quick, if not.
Right. I just want to say that, again, university presidents vote on expansion. So sometimes they're not just looking at how much more money it makes for a school. They're looking for a cultural fit. I think Florida State and Clemson fit culturally in the SEC. I also understand why SEC schools would want to keep them out of the SEC. They don't want to have to recruit against them. They don't want to have a more difficult schedule. Or maybe they take $5 million. Maybe we say Clemson and Florida State raises their media value $2 to $5 million per school. Maybe they'd rather not have that, just have an easier schedule.
Yeah, I at this point, I don't think the SEC cares about the money. I think it is strategic. I believe that. That's why I think that they don't even need to expand. So, yeah, anyway, let me get to this comment from Nathan Campbell, one of our members, caught my eye. It says, Nate, Big 12, ENSLEN. Who's that? Do you guys know? ENSLEN. Said there could be 8 schools, add Florida State, Clemson, and Louisville, and who else? So my personal, it's 2 different things. Actually, it could be 3 different things. Florida, Clemson by themselves. We're all talking to the Big 12. Florida, Clemson, Louisville, Miami would be the next quarter. These are assuming all these schools leave the ACC, and this is assuming they're all available. Then the third would be those 4 schools plus Virginia Tech and North Carolina. That would be my 6. And to be honest, I cannot see going past 6. So let's just ask you guys. How does your breakdown go on that?
Florida State, number 1. Number 2, Clemson. Number 3, Miami. Number 4, Louisville. Number 5, NC State. And number 6, pick your poison between Virginia Tech and Pitt.
Okay.
And, you probably need to consider 5. And this is speculation again. We're not saying this is going to happen, but as a hedge against KU going to the SEC, which could get legs for a lot of reasons and everything, then it might be wise to consider 5 candidates. And so if KU got plucked in a round of expansion and everything, then maybe you grab a Pitt and a Louisville and an NC State or the Virginia Tech and look at 5 of them as hedging.
Okay. Moen.
Yeah, you're not going beyond 4. You're only going to take 4 teams. You're going to take, if this is all speculation,
right?
If there is no home for Florida State and Clemson, you grab them. You grab Louisville, you grab North Carolina State.
Okay.
I think North Carolina, adding Miami, if you've got Florida State and UCF in your conference already, you don't need 3 schools in Florida, even if Miami is a brand. You're just really overkilling it when you could be getting into North Carolina, which is something that, the SEC and the Big Ten covet. They want to get into North Carolina. So I think you put them a higher priority than Miami.
No, think about this too. Okay, so like the Big 12 student pool is going to be different than the SEC of the Big 10 student pool, right? Like based on the like the geographic location. Like North Carolina, to me, isn't quite as valuable as it is to the SEC or the Big Ten, just based on the geographics. If it's all about adding future students for these schools and stuff, like Utah, I could care less if it's NC State or anything else. I'm a world away from that, right? And a lot of the conference is sitting in Texas in the Midwest. And so to me, it's just about like the value add. Like what's going to maximize the dollars?
Yeah, but I think you maximize the dollars with a North Carolina State more than a Miami. I think you do.
Really? Man.
Yeah,
So
look, you've got to support West Virginia. West Virginia needs opponents. So you need to have Louisville in there. You need to have North Carolina State in there. Giving them Clemson. I mean, you guys have had West Virginia out on an island since they joined the conference.
Yes.
It's just recently that you've added Cincinnati and, I think adding a Louisville, a North Carolina State, a Clemson, I think those all help West Virginia tremendously. I just don't see getting 3 schools in Florida. I don't think that boosts the value.
I mentioned this on Friday or Saturday. Brett Yormark, has some schools he wants to bring in and others he's not looking at so much. A couple of those schools are North Carolina State and Virginia Tech. So if Brett Yormark wants them, that goes a long way. But we all know he also wanted Gonzaga and he also wanted UConn. And realignment is not about basketball. So he might want them, but the presidents might want somebody else. Don't know who that is. Just letting everybody know that's kind of gone through.
Do you mind if I share screen real quick?
Oh, please. Yeah, of course.
I was thinking about this. It's a great conversation. Love the conversation here. Looking at this. So Big 12, one of the things the Big 12 needs to do is get out more eyeballs. How you get more eyeballs is obviously winning, as Flo said last week and stuff, but rivalries too. Rivalries drive eyeballs, drive intrigue to your league. And so I was looking at this right here today. This is no rivalry. I wanted to see who Florida State considers their rivals, right? Okay, so if the Noles theoretically got into the Big 12, how can you take care of the Big 12 and the Noles too by adding the rivals? Because this is what drives intrigue again. So really, Miami and FSU as a tandem is pretty strong tandem right there, rivalry-wise. I mean, like the wide, was it lefts or the rights? What is it, Rock? The missed field goals. What was that called again? Wide right.
Left end. Well, fortunately, there's enough of them to have both wide left and wide right.
That's true. Yep.
Yeah. So, there's real rivalry juice there and stuff. And obviously with Clemson, too. So, Florida State considers the Gators, the Hurricanes, and Clemson as their main rivals. To me, I'm looking at this pretty heavy and stuff for future intrigue and stuff for taking care of a future member if Florida State came over.
Sure.
So, then let's take a look. Go ahead.
I just want to keep this in mind, though, Jude. If you're taking that many schools from the ACC is not surviving.
Do we care if the ACC?
Do we agree on that?
Yeah.
So these candidates, there'll be a lot more candidates to take schools. The Big Ten and the SEC would fight over North Carolina and Virginia. The Big Ten would likely fight over Miami. Maybe I think what Brett Yormark is trying to do is get the easy wins and be a partner with the Big Ten and the SEC. Saying, hey, look, I'll take the Wolfpack back. And then you guys, can fight over what you want to fight over. I'll take the easy ones.
If that's the case, then you can just blow up that Brett McMurphy article and all the smoke that's being said that the Big Ten and the SEC aren't interested in the Noles.
No, it says they're not. It says they're not interested unless the ACC implodes. The scenario we're talking about with Yormark taking 4 schools implodes the ACC.
This is, it's a good point and everything. I think that when we're thinking about adding schools, though, especially for the Big 12, rivalries are going to add juice, a lot of intrigue, viewership. The Big 12 needs more of those. And so looking at Florida State, if you happen to land Florida State, here's some of your targets, like the common right here, Miami, Clemson. I think would be very attractive. And then if you look at Clemson and Miami's, Florida State's one of the top rivals there. So there's real juice. With that trio right there, I think.
Okay. Rock, do you want to add anything to that?
I was just doing my Doctor Strange thing where I went through 14 million scenarios, and there's only one where Miami isn't the third choice of the Big 12.
Yeah, I think whoever it is, there's 6 or 7 schools in there that are going to end up somewhere. We're just not sure where.
Yeah.
And a lot of it has to do with what's the first school to move. If it's Notre Dame, it could change everybody who moves. If it's Florida State, it could change everybody who moves. So it really just depends. You pick it, you pull a string. What is that tied to? And we just need to be open for any of those changes. Just know this: all the ones we've mentioned, the 7 schools we've talked about, all are desired. No question about it. They all have people that want them, but does it fit the situation? That's what it's going to come down to. All right, let's get back to McMurphy here. Let's go. I'm going to make it big because it's getting smaller. There we go. If the ACC no longer exists and the floodgates open, allowing a mass exodus from the ACC, North Carolina and Virginia would be highly sought after by the SEC and the Big Ten. Several sources added they weren't convinced they could trust Florida State as a new member. Boy, there's another one of those words, trust, right? God, getting hit with that left and right. Look what they did, getting the Attorney General involved, accusing former ACC Commissioner John Swofford of rigging the television rights to help his son, filing a suit to expose ESPN's TV deals, something the other 3 power leagues are against, by the way. They're not a good partner. There's no congeniality. No one wants that, said the AD at Miami. I wish you would just tell us who that was, right? It's not about FSU getting out of the ACC's grant of rights. They're not a fit. So nothing to do with them actually getting out. Just has to do with where they could end up. I want to get to a couple more here. It's clubby among the presidents. Moen said this a bunch. And AAU membership is significant to them. Remember, these are presidents and chancellors that make these expansion decisions. If the Big Ten and SEC aren't options, the Big 12 would seem to be a potential landing spot. And, that's basically it. There's only a few more paragraphs. What did you guys think in total about this article, knowing that it did light a fire? Now, you could argue where the fire went. Has it hit its intended target? That would be a question I would have. And 2, is it moving minds?
Yes, I think it did deliver its target. It's a jarring article. It really is. And if you're an old fan and stuff, it's got to be very disappointing, understandably, because the dream, it looks like there's barriers to that dream and stuff. And plus the Power 2's kind of thumbing their nose at you. That's kind of what it seems like as an outsider. So that's got to be jarring for a school that's so reputable, such a big brand and everything. And I don't see Florida State as a disruptor. They're just trying to take care of themselves financially and everything. And they're falling behind in a conference that's going to fall behind too. And so it's all about painting the narratives. I think it's kind of a little unfair painting today and everything. And it's just kind of too bad.
Rock or Moen?
Yeah,
Go ahead,
I don't think
Rock.
it changed. I don't think it changed any Florida State fans' minds, right? They either got more dug in,
Right.
more into there's no way our administration would have done X and Y without having an idea of what's going on. It's also entirely possible that is 100% true, and things change as 7 new presidents and 7 new athletic directors entered the Big Ten in the last 12 months, right? So 2 things can be concurrently true and still produce the same result. Again, I still think that they're ultimately going to be fine. My only concern is that relationships thing. And it's really probably just one board of trustees guy that has really done it. Clemson has escaped that scalding. I happened to just be in algorithm hell on YouTube earlier, and I heard the Boston College Locked On podcast, which I didn't even know they were big enough.
They have a Locked On?
They do, but they couldn't put the video on, but the video is just with the thumbnail. But they basically said that point that you guys brought up earlier, that they didn't perceive Clemson to be in that way. So there's a perception there. It's not necessarily a great thing for your program to have that, but it doesn't necessarily change a thing about where your ultimate destination is going to be.
Right.
And they had I understand why Florida State did it against the ACC, but that's actually not the issue. The issue being expressed here is, what do your potential future partners think of you? Not so much what about the one that you had probably every single right to take the steps that you did in order to break away from them thinks about you.
Wow. Let me ask you a question. On that Boston College Locked On podcast, were both their fans hosts, or did just one of the fans host and the other?
I actually accidentally hosted it because I was the only one.
Okay. Okay, that makes more sense.
Oh, that's funny.
I just want to go back to that line in the article. It's
Sure.
clubby, it's clicky. The presidents and chancellors decide.
Yes.
This comes down to relationships. I don't know that Florida State has a relationship with any of these Big Ten schools. I mean, that maybe, you know, they want to reach out to them and say, hey, let's work on some research. Let's do this. Let's do that. If that hasn't been happening, you know, that could be another reason. That's part of the relationship thing.
Yeah.
Well, and that might be the shot across the bow. This might be the come to Jesus meeting. They're telling Florida State and whoever else in the ACC, we're not going to take you on spec. If you want to come here, you're going to have to come the way we want you.
Right. And people need to look next levels too, right? Like if you're a Big Ten presidents, do you go, even though I totally get why they voted that way, are some of those Big Ten presidents quoting going, why did you not vote for Stanford, our academic peer, right, to come into your conference? Or, you know, Miami, all the stadium hell, take it, right? The flip side of that is it's owned by one of the Michigan's biggest boosters.
Right.
Right. So I don't know that there's a relationship between Miami and Michigan directly, but through the guy who probably wants to fill that stadium since there's a rev share on certain things on commissions and would love to see his school come down there more. That's an accidental relationship. So who knows?
Carrie Go Knowles, another $10 super chat. Thank you so much, Carrie. Fact is, ACC tried to join the SEC 24 years ago. When the SEC finally wanted Florida State to join, the ACC jumped in and won the bid. SEC fans are comical.
That's
Carrie,
history.
Carrie knows history. Yeah, that's true. Thank you for the super chat, Carrie. There's one last little quote I wanted to get in here, and it's this last right here. It says, "Never say never," Big Ten source said, but the current sentiment is no for Florida State. Maybe so, but the SEC's May spring meetings in Destin, Florida, I talked to the SEC president about the league's new logo, 16 teams in a circular formation. I asked if there was room for more, and he said there was always room for more. So,
dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun.
You know, it's interesting. Florida State's mentioned as a no. Clemson is not mentioned there.
No.
So I think if you go further back on Greg's show, he had mentioned at one point that Clemson and North Carolina were working together.
Okay.
So I think if Clemson could bring a North Carolina to the Big Ten table, the Big Ten might take Clemson for delivering a North Carolina.
That's fascinating.
Yeah,
that was a few months ago. That was a few months ago, right?
Likewise with the SEC. The SEC might say, hey, we'll take Clemson if you can deliver North Carolina.
The Big Lubbock says Sankey and Yormark are from New York, and I think Petiti might be as well. We talked about that the other night. Yeah, they all are from the Northeast for sure. Look who's here off his deathbed, his literal deathbed. That would be Greg Swaim. How are we doing, Greg? We miss you. You're so much excitement when you're around. Everybody likes talking to you, and we certainly like having you check on the show. Hope your health is going better. You know, we're all praying for you. We've seen your tweets, obviously, the last several weeks. He's saying big stuff coming. So there you go. Appreciate it. All right. Let's see. I'm glitchy.
No, that's just me on my end. So
you're glitching. Okay. All right. I thought you were talking to me. All right, guys. So we made it through the article. Let me check my other links that I see if there was anything else I wanted to talk about. Yeah, I did want to get to one other story, and then we're going to get to some Q&A time, which is what people are really here for. Any last words about the Brett McMurphy article, guys?
Still think disruptive is a bit unfair. This is I liken the situation in the Florida State to like a contract holdout in the NFL. Right, you're under contract. You're Chris Jones for the Chiefs and stuff. You want to get paid more. You see more value in everything. So you sit out the first couple of games. Everyone's mad at you and everything until you get a new contract renegotiation. And you sign it and you move on your way and stuff. It's business. And I think with Florida State and everything, it's business. This is business. This is dollars. This is money. This is future competing and stuff. And give them a break a little bit. But like being disruptive seems a little bit aggressive to me. Term.
You know, it's interesting to me. This article dropped the day before. I believe tomorrow is the Board of Trustees meeting.
17th is tomorrow, the 17th.
Tomorrow is 17th.
That's
It's
it.
going to be when they have open questions for for Alfred, or the president.
Right.
So I'm kind of interested to. I think Greg will probably be doing a show on that in the morning. I'm sure.
Oh, I would imagine. Peek Around the Corner's been covering this wall to wall for years.
So
obviously.
Stay tuned, people. There could be some fireworks if this article came out today, and I don't know if it's a coincidence it came out today, the day before that Board of Trustees meeting.
Oh man.
One last slide I want to get to, and then we'll jump into the Q&A. Just take a second here, Ute, and can you explain this to everybody? Because you were talking about it on Twitter, and I think we covered this months ago, but would you mind going through it really quick for those people watching that maybe didn't see the live show we did months ago and maybe couldn't quite get the story off of Twitter?
Yeah, there you go. Like, this sums it up. I mean, based on the Florida State valuation, this is where I'm getting the numbers right here in Florida State and Clemson valuation. You can see over since 2015 through last year, here is the viewers per game, per Nielsen rated game. And so you can see for each school here what they were pulling in. And then to the far right is the percentage of all the total that they accounted for. So Clemson, if you look to the far right, the viewership share is around 18% of all the ACC viewership came from the Clemson Tigers because of their amazing runs. They were on TV a bunch and stuff, big views, big games. Florida State was second at 16.78%, almost 17%. But what's valuable about these numbers, they're interesting for one thing, but you can actually – so on the finance side, if I'm working for a media company, I'm actually applying these type of numbers. I might make adjustments and stuff for like an SEC. What does that mean if Florida State's in the SEC or the Big Ten? Maybe a little adjusting here and there, but I'm taking numbers like this and I'm multiplying those numbers by what the agreed on media contract is for the ACC to see really what team is worth what. And that's exactly when I said earlier that $75 to $85 million that Clemson and Florida State would fall into that bucket is because of these viewership share percentages that you're seeing right here. So 18% of all the ACC viewership came through Clemson, 17% came through Florida State for the last 8 years across this examination period. That's what that's saying. And so that's valuable to see and stuff. You can see who's accounting for most of the viewership in the contract. There's a contract, everyone's getting fairly equal money and stuff in the ACC. And then you've got a milk sucker like Boston College that's bringing in around 390,000 views per Nielsen rated game, whereas Clemson's 2.42 million. And that's just like we're so far away from being fair here. And so that's one of the problems with the whole like these media contracts for these conferences and everything. There's like these milk suckers that really just don't do anything. They're never on TV. They don't have big fan bases and they get paid the exact same amount. That just can't happen. That's not how the world works anymore. That really is like bad business right there. And that's the push for the Super League right there to get rid of that kind of garbage. And so that's what you're seeing right here. You can use that information to apply it again for valuations if you so choose and stuff. It'll give you approximations.
Again, we deal in data around here. If you're new to the channel, we've got 140 people watching us live. Let's do a quick reset. Make sure you're following all of us on Twitter. Make sure you give us a thumbs up on YouTube. Subscribe on YouTube. If you go on Twitter and you're not already following Big 12 Mafia and the CFB Mafia, we're giving away 2 copies of the new, not NCAA, the college football game, College Football 25. That we're going to do on Friday. So you have between now and Friday to look those things up. It's pinned in my signature, and you guys can see exactly how to go about signing up for those. But really quick, just so everybody knows, if you were to take out any number of these schools, and the schools we've spoken about for quite a while now are Clemson, Florida State, Miami, and Louisville, what does it do to the rest of the ACC contract?
You can apply the same like valuation logic and just like subtract those schools out and stuff. What impact? So if Florida State and Clemson are worth approximately 80 million per year, like you remove 80 million for Clemson, 80 million for Florida State, Miami, maybe like in like the 60, 70 million, like you're making approximations here, but you can just subtract that from the annual media contract valuation. At the end of the day, that means that basically the media contract is probably going to be halved because the top 4 schools here, Clemson, Florida State, Miami, and Louisville, are worth 53% of all the total ACC viewership. Those are big brands in football, compelling brands. Virginia Tech's lagging behind them a little bit. Virginia Tech's falling off a cliff, guys. Like, look here, check out Virginia Tech. Like, left side, there's a column that says 2015 to 2019. That's all the viewership between those years. Virginia Tech was averaging about 1 million and 1.3 million viewers per game, just rounding up a little bit. And then because they were bad post-pandemic and stuff, that number's just been dropping off a cliff. They're well below 1 million viewers per game. It's concerning and everything. That's just one of the things with the Hokies that they're kind of encountering here, but it's going to fall sharp. I think it's going to be dropped in half. Whatever they're making now is going to be halved immediately.
That's frightening.
I think it's going to be higher than that after this coming season. If you just look at who's doing what in theory, if the forecasts come together for schools doing well, I think you can see those top 4 schools and maybe even actually Virginia Tech, has potential to have a bounce back year, but those 4 schools could get you up into closer to 60% of like whatever 2024's percentages will be. It's my takeaway, my guess, my forecast, if we want to put some friendly bets on it when we get to January.
Let me add a little more context. Brian Murphy put this out today, and he took it from the latest tax forms. And again, you can break this down a little bit more for us, but the ACC revenue was 706. That's the whole conference. The Big 12 was 510. The ACC average payout was 44.8. And the Big 12 was 44.2. But correct me if I'm wrong. The valuations that are going to be going on here, moving forward, if you took out those 4 schools from the ACC, now you're looking at a total revenue of around 22 million. Is that what you're thinking?
This includes NCAA basketball.
It does.
So it's going to be lower.
Yeah.
We talked about before. It's going to be, if I had to throw a valuation on the ACC media deal, if it's lost its top 4, viewership teams,
right?
Louisville, Miami, Florida State, and Clemson. Like I'm thinking in the high teens per year in media payouts, like maybe 20 million, or like probably more like 18 or 19 million. Maybe 18 to 22 if you want to look at like a ballpark, but like it's not even going to be close to Big 12 numbers, and that's why we looked at the doomsday scenario and everything.
Right.
So what happens when those 4 schools, if those 4 schools leave? It's big. Like it becomes the AAC almost, the quasi AAC. So that's just not depending on what the exit fee amount that the schools get.
Right.
Survival might not be a viable option.
Jamie Thornton in the house. Good to have you here, Jamie. Better late than never. Says, hey, guys, I'm going to give you guys some info I got today on FSU. By the way, Jamie Thornton has been nails when it comes to news, all realignment and college football news. FSU has burned themselves in the relationship department. Okay, we've been saying relationship. Greg has been, peek around the corner, has been saying that for months now. Let's just put it this way. Mild Youth, College Football Mafia, and Rock and Rant. And Moen, she missed you.
Yeah, she did. What was the deal with that? Hey, Jamie, I listened to your radio show and you didn't tag me. I'm personally offended now.
Hey, what I want to know is, Jamie, why haven't you sent me a DM to invite me on your show? That's what I want to do. I would love to come on your show. Anyway,
sing the Bengals.
It's I love the Bengals.
Oh, dude, no, it's got like so many, like there's rockabilly on there. It's
I know,
it's pretty cool.
I know. Right here. So this is nails again. Florida State relationships not good. So now I'm going to bring it up. Go ahead.
Just fill in the blank. That's probably a future heavier SEC article, right? From Jamie's perspective, because that's where she has a lot of information coming in from.
Oh, for sure. From Arkansas, you bet. I'm going to put this on here. It's going to jar a lot of people, but it's absolutely, in my opinion, true. You put the cart before the horse. Final question before Q&A. Is FSU this year's SDSU? San Diego State?
No.
As we all know, San Diego State left but didn't leave the Mountain West because they were going to the Pac-12 because the Pac-12 had $50 million a year on the board. So you're saying no. We talked about earlier in the show. We talked about Oregon and Washington. Is that the same as Florida State, Clemson? This is where I want to finish. So tell me and everybody else why FSU is not this year's SDSU.
SDSU is trying to get up to the P5 at the time. They were G5 level team, and they only had one option. That was getting in the Pac-12 conference. Florida State has multiple options. They already, one of the elite brands in college football. They can stay in the ACC, so they're already in the A4. They could reform the conference by voting to restructure it and shrink it down for more payouts, or else they can go over to the Big 12. SDSU would love to have any of those options. They don't. Completely different story here. And at the end of the day, Florida State might just have an SEC or Big 10 invite when they free up. Let's see.
Moen.
Yeah, no, this is false. Florida State has options. They're going to land in one of the conferences, but even if they didn't land in one of the conferences, they could go independent and still survive. So not like San Diego State. San Diego State had nothing to fall back on. Yeah. They had, a handful of promises to, base their thing on. And, sometimes that handful isn't quite.
I would kind of argue counter on that part of it, though. I do think that they were told something.
Yes, they were given a promise.
They were told something. They were going to get out, and this is where their destination was going to be. And that offer's now been rescinded as far as we can tell. So that part is the same, because Pac-12 did the exact same thing to San Diego State. All right, Rock, you're the last final answer.
I mean, other than they're both representing two native North American cultures before the rest of us got here, I mean, if that's the conversation of the day, sure. Beyond that, no.
Okay, awesome. Appreciate that. There was a lot of chatter on Twitter. I just wanted to try to close that loop and get to where we're going to be next, which is the world famous Q&A. And I'm trying to find the right banner. All right, everybody. We've got 40 minutes to do world famous Q&A. We're going to go hot and heavy. We've got a bunch of comments that have been marked. Again, I cannot say enough how much we appreciate the super chats tonight. If you leave a comment or question, the team will flag them and I'll try to read them. I'm going to go back a ways to get caught up a little bit, but we're going to try to get to as many of your questions as we can. And then if you want to make sure your comment is read, you can make it a super chat and we'll get to it. So we're gonna plan on finishing at 9:10 Eastern. Okay, that's what we're shooting for. All right, here we go. First question right out the gate is Michael, and some of these aren't questions. Michael Smith says every conference is like that, talking about the milkers and the milkies.
The milkers and the milk suckers.
Well, and I know you hate that. The milk suckers.
Sounds like a third grade playground insult at a Christian school. You're a milk sucker.
Yeah.
You know what? It just is. Like, I just think of like a big Bessie, right? Like for each conference, like you've got SEC, it's just this big cow and everything. And who's got the biggest udders and stuff, and who's really supplying the milk flow and who's sucking on it. So, hey, it's just in the mind right here. So, yeah, every conference has it. Other than Big 12 is a little bit more in line. SEC, oh my gosh, SEC's bad. So it's Big 10. So,
Moen or Rock?
Well, that same thing's going to happen if you ever get to a P2 or super conference too, right? Yesterday's milk provider is one of them is going to become a milk sucker, right? Just the way it is. Like somebody's got it. If you're going to rank anything, someone's going to be at the top and someone's going to be at the bottom. And if you keep doing that war of attrition, then I guess eventually we could just see what Ohio State decides to do with Texas.
That's a good point right there. I guess the counter to that is like the teams that win the most and stuff, they're getting the biggest eyeballs, typically have big fan bases. So that in a Super League format, you'd probably get like Texas A&M type squads, right? That still get viewership, but they lose a bunch. I think that's kind of what you're looking at, for like the elites.
Moen?
I am the milkman. My milk is delicious.
All right, let's stop talking about milk, can we, please?
I didn't bring it up. Chris G, another member, says, keep spouting your anti-Virginia Tech garbage, Ute. Uh-oh, you've made it. Tech guy mad, Ute.
Chris, I'm just telling you what I'm seeing on the field here. The data just says that, and nobody else is looking at that. So I've got to be honest with it. Virginia Tech might get in the Big 12. But hey, I think there's an assumption out there that Virginia Tech's this massive brand and everything. And I had that assumption before. I was all about Virginia Tech and everything.
Yeah.
Everyone did, and it's like all of a sudden it's like, shoot, like that's just not really the case and everything. So I'm just trying to get some clarity out there. Now I see.
I'm calling my shot. Let's see what everybody thinks about Virginia Tech after this next season. And do suddenly numbers come when losing begets a lot of things.
Right.
Let's see what happens after this next season. I'm optimistic for Virginia Tech.
TJ Bean gives us a $5 super chat. Thank you, TJ. Can we get Wild Ute to do a deep dive on UNC and Stanford so we can all understand why the Big Ten SEC values UNC more than FSU? That's a good one, Ute.
We've already done UNC to the Big, did we not?
Not compared
We've
with
done UNC
Stanford,
to the
though.
Big, yeah. Stanford, we haven't thrown into
At
the
all.
model.
No, we haven't.
Yeah, I think that Stanford actually scored up pretty well. I really do.
Back when we were doing the Pac-12 ones.
Pac-12, yeah. We've been modeling stuff for the Pac-12. The top
For over
Pac-12
a year.
schools after USC and UCLA were number 1 Oregon valuation-wise, number 2 Washington, number 3 Stanford. That was it.
Yeah.
And so Stanford scored well because they're in San Francisco. They've got a huge academics are elite, athletic revenues, sports win, and everything. There's a lot of things that Stanford brings to the table, just not fan base. That's where they fall short.
Are those videos, are they unlocked? Are they in the members' locker?
We never made videos. Sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say the Notre Dame to the Big, or Notre Dame. North Carolina to the Big, I believe, is still locked in the members.
Is it? Okay. So if TJ, if you sign up for a membership and you only have to do it for a month, you have access to all the Wild Ute University stuff. Really quick, I'll show you what that library looks like. We've got tons of videos. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, scroll down there. And let's see where.
I'm trying to get to the right page. Get to the UNC one, right? Let's see. That's the bottom, Moen.
That can't be the. There's probably another page.
Is there?
Yeah.
I've never gone down this far to look. I don't see a clicker.
Huh.
Let me go to videos. Let's see if it's here.
Yeah, I was
We've
gonna
done
say
so
you can
many.
check Wild Ute University right there.
There's
there you
Big
go.
12. UNC right here. So it's free. You don't have to have a membership. Wild Ute University does UNC Fit in the Big Ten. Check it out. And I'll make this a promise. Anybody out there, nobody does these presentations better than our team. Nobody. And it is a team effort. Ute spends hundreds of hours putting these videos together. We get together, make sure we have the right data. We match it with the right analysis. So you're not going to find it better. I know I encourage you, if you do like that video, maybe sign up for a membership. All right. Thank you very much, TJB, and I appreciate you. Rob says Clemson isn't coming to the Big 12. This is a step down for us. It's not a shot at the Big 12. It's just a fact. Rob, we love you. We've loved having you around. I don't think we're saying they are going to. At least I didn't say that. Did you guys say that tonight?
It's not a guarantee by any means, no.
Yeah. So we don't disagree with you. I don't know. You guys want to add anything to that?
Look, there's a 10% chance at a minimum, right, that something wild happens in this kind of scenario. So,
yeah, that's true.
For even if you just want to ballpark it, that's not the expectation. I guess really it comes down to just for the theoretical conversation of if something weird happened and Florida State went somewhere and it wasn't, alongside Clemson, at what dollar amount is it worth leaving the ACC for that quote unquote step down? Like, it was the amount of schools? Is it the amount of money that you could get going somewhere else to help, compete? Let's say Dabo leaves tomorrow and all of a sudden you're actually doing transfer portal. You need to do more stuff. Like, is there a scenario where you could imagine having to do that step if it was available to you just to stay Clemson competitively?
Okay. Moen, you want to add anything? Okay.
No one's saying Clemson's going to the Big 12. Yeah. That's the hope for Big 12ers. We'd love to have the Tigers in conference and everything. But
praying for it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to throw a prediction down that's going to happen. I think it's less than 50-50 that it actually does shake out that way.
Yeah, by the end of the week, I'm going to update my odds. My last time I did it was 2 weeks ago. I'm going to update the odds again. I think they are changing. But boy, everything's still on the table. Everything's still on the table. Illini Ted, good to have you here, Ted. He's another member. Says I can answer why UNC's question pretty easily. Wait, why the UNC question pretty easily, which is that administrations make these choices, not fans.
It's
okay.
True. It's not.
We're
fantasy,
not making the decisions. It's true.
Okay.
There's
Go
not
ahead,
like a
Ron.
sport called fantasy realignment except for on college football 25.
Well, college football 25, you can do that. Yeah.
So
But you can only get 20 team conferences.
I want to speak to this because I think that, Illini Ted nailed it, right? Like, we're not making decisions. We don't know the decision makers. Like, they're going to make the decisions based on what they have. But guys, like, there is somebody like me that's doing an analysis that's being shown to the presidents to make these decisions. They're not just doing it based on their intuitions. Like, so what I try to do is try to replicate an analysis that would be similar to what they're seeing. As an analyst, that's my background, that's my expertise and everything. So that's where I'm always trying to go for it. Like, I'm pitching something, you're the president. What do you think after seeing this data? You make the call and everything. So you're right, administratively and stuff, the presidents, the schools, the conferences making the decisions, but they are looking at data to make those decisions. Data doesn't make the decisions, they inform the decisions that need to be made.
Anybody else want to say anything? Okay. Jamie Thornton follows up with another piece of information. It's great for the Big 12 at Stormy Cyclone because FSU's only other options are a dissolved ACC, and that's not happening with the new additions, and that new additions means Cal and Stanford and SMU, or FSU would have to stay in the ACC. So Big 12 for FSU. That's what Jamie says. So Jamie's actually making a declaration.
Throwing it down.
It's her right. Sam8911 SK says UNC has a heavy hand on the ACC, All Carolina Conference, so FSU fighting, that makes FSU a troublemaker. You guys agree with that?
I think they're a freedom fighter.
That's true. One man's rebel is another man's freedom fighter. There you go.
They're a freedom fighter.
Is that in a movie or something? I can't believe I.
FSU. So what's Clemson then? If FSU is the freedom fighter,
I don't know, the colonel behind the general. I don't know. I think they're the stealth one, right? They're like doing it slyly, a little bit less quietly, getting to the heat of the, getting to the direct point of what can implode everything as quickly as possible. So maybe they're just plotting behind the scenes with their lawsuit.
Okay. Marcus Williams, another member, says, good to have you here, Marcus. The big is chasing Notre Dame like a simp chasing a girl he can't get. Shake my head.
That's
is that
true,
Moen?
But once you kill every other man, she'll have no choice.
Greg, I'm just looking at Greg's Twitter stream here. He's got a picture of a woman sipping a nice, looks like it's a brandy. Just sipping. Nitwit, newly minted return member, says Penn State at West Virginia, August 31st. Who is watching?
Who isn't watching?
Yeah, I think everybody's going to watch that. That's going to have a huge number.
Just don't know what time that game is. Anyone know
I
offhand?
believe
normally
that's
a
the
night
NBC
game?
night game.
I think it's
The night game
usually.
So I will either be watching awesomely, drunk as hell, or I will be killing people somewhere in the streets because that's right after Miami plays Florida.
Oh. This is a massive game. The Nitwit, like on the opposite side here, like it's Big 12 supporters, like West Virginia. This is the biggest non-con game of the Big 12 schedule. It really is. Massive perception game. So everyone in Big 12 country is going to be watching that.
That's my sleeper too. My sleeper Big 12 school. So
noon on Fox. Steve Moser, another member, says, how is Duke that low, Ute? They're on TV all winter long.
They had good ratings this last year because they had a better team. So they had some much better ratings. But you guys, nobody really cares about Duke football that much. They care about Duke basketball. That's just the truth, right? Like Duke just you can kind of see the same thing with like an Arizona. Arizona is kind of like a Duke, and KU even performs like a Duke too, where the basketball ratings are exceptional. elites of the basketball and stuff, and like all the fan attention seems to be, all the eyeballs seem to go on those games. But yeah, for Duke, they're just not a big ratings driver for football. Unfortunately for them, football drives 80% of the value.
Anyone else?
I'm so excited to see what Manny Diaz does with Duke.
Let's find out. It's possible. He's a defensive coach, right?
He's their head coach now. Maybe he'll take like a different turnover chain that's more refined for Duke.
No. Doc Gibbs, another member, says, another member, ACC representing. Good to see you, Doc. Other than Notre Dame, does anyone dispute the next coveted school is UNC by both the Big Ten or the SEC? I don't dispute it.
No.
Not me.
Nope, not me either.
So we're unanimous, Doc. UNC's the next one up. None. Another member says, go blue, Moen. Go blue. Greg Swaim, again, he's in hospice. Everybody pray for him. Miss you guys too. Comfortable and got a ton of help from around the country on realignment. You'd have to be, considering you've been feeling ill for so long. Praying for you, brother. Speedy recovery. Laura Weiss, another member, says relationships need trust.
Right.
I don't think anybody disagrees with that. That trust bubble, could we put up there where they sued the world? They sued ACC, then they sued ESPN. Now they're suing all power conferences. That can't be making a lot of friends.
No.
Brett Yormark doesn't care about that. So for the Big 12, that doesn't matter. But the SEC and the Big 10, Moen, I'm looking at you.
Why are you looking at me?
Because you're the Big 10 guy here. Say something.
About relationships need trust? Yeah, relationships need trust. I don't trust Oregon, and I think they should be out of the conference.
Stormy Cyclone. Louisville deserves and needs to be in the Big 12 no matter what Yormark is thinking. You've got our support. Me and Ute absolutely want Louisville in. Absolutely. If it wasn't for the nasty number on the Gore, I think they would already be in the Big 12. So
they're the most natural fit. They amplify Cincinnati, the Keg of Nails rivalry. They bring good football viewership, obviously, top 4 in the ACC. They've got good basketball history, championships. Louisville is an absolute no-brainer. I think you got to add them, right? Like, and they just culturally fit so well.
Anybody else? Okay, Royal Payne. Word is SEC wants to gain states of North Carolina and Virginia, not double down on South Carolina and Florida. That was my original intent when I said I didn't think they could go to the SEC. I equivocated, and I did it for a reason, thinking that ESPN might just want to take the best brands from the ACC and shove them in the SEC. That on my next number, that's not going to be the default. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't think they should double up in those states. Justify it. Somebody justify it.
Justify the SEC adding.
Yeah, doubling up in South Carolina and Florida.
It only makes sense if it extends the media value so much that everybody makes more money, and you get UNC and Virginia.
So 4 of them. You want the 4.
You would have to get all 4 in order to do that and make more money.
Yeah, that was what I said. Ute.
I think Moen just nailed it. It becomes harder. There's almost like a higher hurdle if you've got a state in the footprint already. It's a tough sell and everything, because this is the reason right here, summed up really well, why I just never thought it was a fit for Florida State and Clemson in the SEC. Culturally, it's a fit, but like this is the reason right here. Valuations and stuff, you're already in the states and the markets. It's killer.
Yeah. Rock, you want to add anything?
I mean, this is one of those ones where I get it empirically, but if you're SEC and then you take the backpack and you're like, we'll take 2 schools from North Carolina, but we won't take a second school in Florida, which is the 3rd biggest state, then I think people are just like drinking a lot of milk, man.
Maybe. Maybe getting a little too much, Milkman. Thank you, Royal Payne. Jason Spangler back in the house, and a member says the Big 12 schools will never vote in favor of unequal revenue sharing in favor of a Florida State or Clemson. They are never joining the Big 12. Well, Jason doesn't think it's happening.
Hey, I guess
Jason.
we can end the stream there and just go get some milk.
Dropping the bomb right there. Just ask you to consider just a little bit more nuanced thinking on this and everything, and what an addition to Florida State and Clemson would do for the Big 12. And you know what? It wouldn't reduce KU's payouts at all. It wouldn't affect your payouts at the end of the day. They're not going to drop at all. It's just going to enhance the exposure of the conference. So I would ask for some understanding and just consider it.
If you have a big movie that you think is doing really great and is going to make a lot of money, and then you can put Tom Cruise in it, you put Tom Cruise in it.
Right? Yeah, that's good. I like that. It's a good analogy. The Tom Cruise movie analogy.
You're going to make more money. He might make more money than everybody else in that movie, but you're going to make more money.
Agreed. I agree 100%. Moen?
Yeah, you got to write that never when he says never like that. I'll capture you. Go, never.
Right.
Never joining the Big 12.
Well, I appreciate Jason. Thank you for being here tonight. Nitwit again says, welcome to the Whiteout, Washington Huskies. We don't have, I know what whiteout is. That game is going to be dominating, and Washington's going to be in real trouble. Yeah. I think we haven't done our schedules yet. Hopefully, we get to that in August. But that's going to be a tough game for my Huskies.
We're going to do a special episode of seeing how long it takes Becky to get to State College.
That's right.
She's a whole travel log. She'll start leaving next week.
Yeah, I forgot that she was going to be doing that. It's going to be fun. Almighty Finn, another member, says FSU doesn't consider Clemson a rival. Okay.
That survey there is actually Florida State fans, though. So you may not necessarily, but that entire site is not based off of some random algorithm. It's based off of, fans are factored into that know your rivals stuff.
Okay. David Floyd says, anything on Georgia Tech or Duke?
Thank you, David.
Cheers.
I don't have anything new on Georgia Tech or Duke. Do you guys?
They're in the ACC.
They're in the ACC, and there's a possibility that they could go somewhere else at some point in some timeline.
Okay.
Georgia Tech and Duke are probably very nervous right now, though.
I would think.
They're right there on the bubble. They're bubble teams.
Expedition Greg, a member, says when big out of the 4 West Coast schools, there's a belief that the next area is Southeast, but in recent reports and rumors, it's sounding like that's not the case at all. So what do we say about the big?
Not yet. It's not yet the case.
Okay.
If you add Notre Dame and Stanford and you say, let's go to 24, you have to look at the Southeast. So,
Moen, in the 24 team scenario, who's in? Spitballing it.
Okay, Notre Dame and Stanford get you to 20. You take Cal as your 6th West Coast team. As a favorite to Stanford, you pay them $1.
Yep.
Then you take the University of Miami out of Florida. You take Georgia Tech. Oh boy.
A 24.
Are we assuming that North Carolina's out?
Yeah, you can't have Carolina or Virginia.
Can't have Carolina or Virginia. Then I guess you would take Duke.
That would shock me if Duke went to the Big Ten.
Man, if Stanford goes, Duke could go.
I think it's a crazy number. It's possible, but
is Florida State or Clemson available in that scenario?
Sure, whatever. Go ahead,
might take Florida State in there instead of Duke, but I think they want to get into North Carolina. If North Carolina's
right,
Duke's going to be the only one outside of North Carolina that would possibly find palatable.
I agree with you. So we've got about 15 minutes later, everybody. We've got enough comments, I think, stored up. If you want your comment to be read between now and the end of the show, make it a super chat. Otherwise, we'll keep answering your questions. I've got a bunch of them. We really appreciate everybody's participation tonight. It's been a fun show. Rod Nick says there is serious underestimating the vision and drive of Brett Yormark. His ambitious plan for the Big 12 far exceeds anything we ever, I guess, have seen from the ACC. Rod is in your camp there, Rock.
Well, yeah, but let's create the baseline. 1 is infinitely higher than 0, and that's the vision. That's the vision that Jim Phillips has for the ACC. You know what you don't want to have your commissioner use as his honorarium? PhD.
Does
right?
Jim Phillips have PhD behind his name?
I think he has something like that, doctor or whatever. Or academic something. He's just he's not Brett Yormark.
Anybody else? I don't understand. I understand Brett Yormark. I don't underestimate him. I think the sky's the limit.
Don't underestimate him.
Don't. Go Black 45 says, for all of Sankey's big show power player role, he made a huge mistake locking the SEC into a 10-year agreement, especially with no extra money for going to 9 conference games. Just dumb. Go Black 45, thank you for being here, man. It's great to see you. What do you guys think? I think that's a great comment.
Yeah, the Big Ten's going to be up for renewal before the SEC.
It will, yep.
Is it before or after? It's
before.
It's before.
Yeah,
right.
They're 29. Big 12 is 30.
And 31.
34, I think, is the SEC, or 33 is the SEC.
Yeah, they're having the hardest time getting, the pro rata or whatever you want to call it for that 9th conference game. Like, that's what you keep hearing, that is the money there to go to 9 conference games, maybe if you add. It is, but yeah, it's been a challenge.
I think it's great analysis. We'll have to see where that shakes out, but I think there's a lot to it. We'll find out. Maybe by then we'll be talking about Premier Conference football. All right. Vox Quindaro, he of the magnanimous gift tonight. We really appreciate it. At Wild U, won me over in spite of the Utah ingrates. Good man.
Much appreciated, definitely. Thank you for the super chat earlier. You let me know what you want me to analyze, Vox. Seriously, if it's you tell me what you want, I'll do it. That's going to be the next Wild U.
There we go. Write a check. Get your thing. I love it. King Spleen, another member comment. The disruptive partner comment clearly has shown that the source has chosen the side of the ACC without understanding the 30-year history. The article definitely had a slant to it. What do you guys want to say about that? Disruptive partner, it's a little demeaning,
I don't think it's the ACC that's the issue there. Remember, there are schools in the Big Ten that resemble the profile of schools in the ACC that Florida State, specifically their board of trustees guy, talked about, taking, not deserving the revenue. So if you're those schools, you're going to feel, symbiosis with somebody over in the ACC and wondering if you're just going to inherit those comments. Like, that's what it is. Yeah, for sure, they're taking the side of their partner. And for all I know, it was a Michigan or Ohio State source that did it, coming from the big perspective. But, it's really coming from those commissioners, and they're all selfish. Those presidents, they all want to take care of what they need for themselves first, and then secondarily their leagues and their alliances. So they're going to come from that point of view first and foremost.
Moen, you want to say anything on that one?
Just like an athlete holding out for a contract. It's just money. It's business, baby.
It's not personal. It's business.
It's just business. All right, let's get to another Kerry Go No super chat. Being a member, bet your ass I'm keeping receipts. There you go.
Now, Kerry's been on fire today, and I don't blame him at all. Like, seriously, Kerry, like this.
I want to add
freaking Florida State Seminoles. Like, seriously, Florida State Seminoles.
Go back. You can finish what you're saying. Go ahead.
I can't believe like the shade that's being thrown and like the language being thrown at Florida State. Like, Florida State, for the fan base they're getting so dissed.
Not by us.
Not by us at all, but like by others and everything, right?
Okay. Just want to make that clear.
Whoa, hold on. Kerry gets his sounder. I think
when sorry.
Kerry cashes in his receipts, he's going to tell people.
Tell them to bring me my money.
Thank you, Carrie, and thank you, Moen. That's a perfect drop. Vox Quindaro says that was cool as AF. What is he talking about? You offering? Is that what he's talking about, or is there something else I missed?
Just throw it down. Whatever you want, Vox. Whatever you want me to analyze, throw it down. Serious.
He will go back and he'll do a whole presentation for you. Stormy Cyclone, a member says, Bomber, you need to drink milk when Georgia Tech is mentioned just to piss off you. You know what? That's true.
Milk.
I haven't even thought about that. Has to be chocolate milk. I need to get my wife to buy me some chocolate milk.
Chocolate milk.
I'm going to start drinking milk instead of beer on the show.
It's all about chocolate milk.
Be a real man and drink whole milk. Come on.
Whole chocolate milk.
Whole milk. You don't get chocolate.
Chocolate is for closers, I bought it. I get
closers.
Awesome Lawson Clip says the milk addiction is utterly ridiculous. You can tell we're starting to run out of air.
The dad jokes have entered the chat.
Yeah, let me get to one from my buddy Fanatic. Here we go. And by the way, Coach, it's great to see you. Need to do another show, brother. He says at College Football Mafia question, are Clemson and FSU tied at the hip when it comes to moving to a new conference? I'll answer last. You're shaking your head.
I don't think so. I think there's scenarios where FSU is in the Big Ten and Clemson is not.
Okay,
I agree.
Mullen.
I agree with Rock.
Okay, you?
I agree with both of you, and it's little talked about, though. We're all packaging them together.
Actually, we have talked about them going different places, splitting them up in the past. My opinion is either one of them could go to FSU I could see in either conference. Clemson, if the Big Ten doesn't take them, they might not have a partner at this point. So we'll have to see. But they're not married is what we're saying, Coach. They could go different places depending on situation. Anyway, I appreciate that. If Vox was did he put up analysis there? I didn't see it.
I haven't seen it yet either.
Oh wait, maybe it's right here. Hang on, let's get to the comment. I see his name. Let's see, some 80. Sorry, everybody, just bear with us. I got to get to this. Here we go. Is it this one?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Gotcha.
Got it. Okay.
Yep.
We got a few more comments here. Dennis Hattie, another member. Good to see you, Dennis. Jim Phillips has a legit PhD from the University of Tennessee. Maybe Rock and Rant's comment was a shot at the value of a vol education. Is that true?
No shot. My nephew played lacrosse for Tennessee. There's no way.
I love it. Tatown Hawk says Moen does not like KU because they beat Ohio State recently. Is that true?
Jayhawk squad, come on.
I care less about the team struggling.
I couldn't care less. It was like my first one of first 4 games. All right, I'll figure this game out eventually.
The Fanatic again, Coach. Thank you for being here. Exactly,
Thanks,
at
Coach.
the Utah guy. That's you, Ute, at the Utah.
Yeah,
guy.
I know. Yeah.
Everybody
We're
has
agreeing.
been packaging them together, and I agree with you guys.
Yep.
You're with us.
Nails.
We've been doing it for a while around here, Coach. So we appreciate you showing up. Let's see if there's any others that we want to get to. Moen, did I miss any that you wanted me to grab? I wanted to say hi to Shooter, Texas. Baylor fan. Yormark is a beast. Leadership matters. Yes, it does. John F. Hopkins says delusional. Same condition my brother has. Wow, we're going back and forth. Don in Kansas says let's go Big 12.
Whoop, whoop.
David Floyd says Big 12 needs to offer FSU, Clemson, Virginia Tech, Louisville, NC State, Miami, North Carolina State, and Pitt, and shut the thing down.
Holy smokes.
That would shut the conference down. What do you guys think about that?
Just take the sucker to 24 right now. Split the whole thing into 12-team divisions.
Right. Yeah.
Hey, if the money's there, let's do it. If the money's there,
you
let's
got,
freaking
you got
go.
North Carolina State on that list twice, sir.
Oh, man.
It would have to be Syracuse. It would have to be Syracuse.
And you'd have to lose Miami.
No, we're not losing Miami. We're
Yeah,
getting it
you're
all in
losing
package
Miami.
deal.
We're not losing
No,
Miami.
Not losing Miami. We're getting Miami.
Where's Miami going to go?
I'm telling you, Miami has a legitimate shot at the Big Ten.
Well,
We've never said
who's their
they
travel
didn't.
Partner? Who's their travel partner? Is it going to be Georgia Tech?
Hey, Georgia Tech, Duke, North Carolina, Virginia, Maryland.
That's a far travel for every volleyball game from Miami down there for the Big Ten.
I'm sure they would take it.
Has been says FSU pissed off Notre Dame and the Domers exercised a pre-membership veto of the Knowles. Is that even possibly true?
No comment.
Okay. Jamie Thornton again says, I just wanted to say I love Moen, but I ran out of space earlier, Moen.
That's all right, Jamie. I'll keep listening to your radio show. Keep pumping out the rockabilly.
Jamie, he's got a whole bunch of groupies that are backstage just waiting for him to get off the air. You know what, guys? I think that's it. All right, let's close this sucker down. So let's talk final words. We went through the article. We definitely talked a bunch about where we're going to be in, next week, where we might be for the next several weeks. What's your takeaway from the Brett McMurphy interview, Rock? And what do you take from it?
I wouldn't discount what he's saying in terms of those quotes. That's the one part that I think is the wild card of how true it is versus just how it's true in the moment versus the other points about, appetite for expansion and money. Those things tend to get settled. There were a couple of other quotes that came out after from other people with sources, and you can bet your college football realignment porn that every writer for every site nationally and local that has a source in any of those conferences is digging right now for new quotes to add in the coming days. For me, I think it just adds an amazing amount of fodder for, I think it's Monday, when in Florida, the Attorney General's separate suit to get the, with all these conferences and networks that have signed on as friends of the court, where they're all possibly on the firing line for a bunch of questions about getting that media agreement shared for the sunshine laws in Florida. So you take this into that could be pretty wild depending on how that court thing happens, heading right into the ACC and Big Ten meetings that week.
Okay, Moen.
Yeah, I'd just like to thank some people for their generosity before we get out of here. Ricky Tungate, Marcus Williams, Trent Brown, Adam Ontiveros, Kerry Go Knowles, you're my dude. Expedition Greg, Nitwit, Vox Quindaro, Nitwit and Vox Quindaro with the big super chats. We appreciate that, guys.
Thank you.
TJ
Thank you.
Kerry Go Knowles again. Kerry Go Knowles was a superstar as well. Kerry Go Knowles, Vox Quindaro, and Nitwit, you guys are all winners in my book.
Winners.
Winner.
Woohoo! Fantastic show tonight, everybody. Ute. Let's finish this thing off right.
You have to take McMurphy seriously. Looking back and doing some retrospective analysis on like the whole Washington, Oregon thing, he was nails. He mentioned that Washington and Oregon were vetted by the Big Ten. So he never said anything like the Big Ten wasn't interested in the Washington and Oregon. McMurphy never said that. So you absolutely have to take this seriously. Things do change, though, when they're untethered. What happens then? That's going to be the thing that we need to all watch for. FSU and Clemson bring tremendous value. Outside of Notre Dame, I think they lift media valuations more than any other school, including North Carolina. There's strategic reasons clearly that North Carolina is desired for student enrollment, the growth of that state and everything. As far as the dollars, Florida State's a team. Outside of Notre Dame, you want to add. So we'll see what happens and everything. But really, I wouldn't pit Florida State to any conference right now. It's completely up in the air. It's a swing.
And I'll just finish it off by saying thank you to everybody tonight. We went through all the super chats and gifts you guys give us, the new members. Again, if you're a new member, go back to the library on the main page and watch those member videos. The library is extensive, and it's the finest in social media, in my opinion, on YouTube. You're not going to get any better, certainly, if you're talking college football or realignment. Other than that, I want to say thank you to everybody else that helped us get here today. Moen, tell everybody what the show is tomorrow night.
Tomorrow at 8, the sit down. We're going to talk some Big Ten football, my predictions for the season. We'll get through at least the first half of it. And if not, if we don't get through all of it, I'll finish it up on Sunday with Brock over here.
All right, very good. Other than that, our next show is Friday night with the Big Freaking Friday show at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. If you need us, find us on Twitter. Make sure you subscribe. Don't leave till you subscribe. Follow us all on Twitter and then turn on those notifications so you know when our shows are going to be coming on. Again, we appreciate everybody. Have a safe night. If you've been drinking, you cannot drive. I absolutely restrict you from doing that. And we'll see you tomorrow night.
Unless you drink a milk.